So children, continue the chapter P block elements. In this for today, the first topic is the simple oxides. So children, basically as we know that the oxides are those type of compounds in which the element combine with the oxygen. So what are the oxides? So the oxides are the binary compounds of oxygen with other elements. For example, when calcium combine with the oxygen, it form the calcium oxides. So children, we can classify the simple oxides on the basis of their acidic, basic and amphoteric behavior. So first is acidic oxide. Acidic oxides. So what are the acidic oxides? So the acidic oxides are those type of compounds in which the oxide, when combined with the water, it give an acid. So that type of oxides which combine with the water and after that it give the acid, that type of oxides are named as the acidic oxide. And basically children, the non-metallic oxides, for example, the sulfur dioxide, N2O5, these oxides means when the non-metal combine with the oxygen and it form the oxide, the non-metallic oxides are showing the acidic behavior because when they combine with the water, they form acids. So for example, when the sulfur dioxide, here the sulfur is a non-metal and it combined with the oxygen to form the non-metallic oxide, and when it combined with water, after the reaction it gives the sulfurous acid, H2SO3. Okay children, again another oxide, that is the dinitrogen pentoxide. When combined with the water, it gives the acid, that is the HNO3. Here, okay children, hope you clear this. So when the oxide combined with water and when it give an acid, here this is a sulfurous acid. So that type of oxides are named as the acidic oxide. So the non-metallic oxides are basically acidic oxides. Second is the basic oxide. Basic oxide. So what are the basic oxide? Basic oxide means the oxide which give a base with water are called basic oxide, and mostly the metallic oxides, for example calcium oxide, barium oxide, when they combine with water they give base, for example CaOH twice. Similarly, when the barium oxide combine with water, it also gives the base, and that is the barium hydroxide. Okay, so in this way, these non-metallic oxides are named as the acidic oxide and the metallic oxides are named as the basic oxides. After that children, the next is, third category is the amphoteric oxide. Amphoteric oxide means the oxide which reacts with both acid as well as base. Means the oxide which exhibit a dual behavior. Means they have tendency to combine with acid as well as base. And the example is the aluminium oxide, Al2O3. It can combine with acid to give the salt, as well as when it combines with the base NaOH, it also gives the salt. So they show the characteristic of both acid as well as base. So they are also named as the acidic as well as basic oxides. Children, there are some oxides which are neither acidic nor basic. Such oxides are called neutral oxide because they are not showing the acidic behavior as well as basic behavior. And the example of such type of oxides are the carbon monoxide, nitric oxide and dinitrogen monoxide. These are the oxide which comes under the category that is the neutral oxide. They are not showing the acidic as well as basic behavior. Next topic is the children, after the oxide classification, these are the simple oxides in which there are acidic, basic, amphoteric and neutral oxide. Next is the ozone. Ozone having the formula O3. This is the ozone, and the ozone having the structure like this: O bond, one is the double bond and one having the single bond. Positive, negative charge, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the structure of ozone children. So children, as we know that the ozone is an allotropic form of oxygen because it is made up of oxygen. So it is an allotropic form of oxygen, and at altitude near about the height of 20 kilometer, as we know that there is another layer which is named as the stratosphere. In the stratosphere, children, the oxygen combined in the presence of sunlight, they results in the formation of O3 ozone, and this ozone layer in the stratosphere protect the earth's surface from an excessive concentration of UV radiation. So the ozone is very much necessary for the human life possible on the earth's surface. This slide is the children for the preparation of ozone. How can we prepare the ozone in the laboratory? So children, you can see the slide. This is in this, the ozone is prepared in the laboratory by passing silent electric discharge through dry oxygen. By passing the electric current, some of the oxygen molecules dissociate and then atomic oxygen combine with the oxygen molecule to form the ozone. So this is the reaction, children, that is the O2. When we pass the silent electric discharge through the dry oxygen O2, the O2 dissociate into nascent oxygen, that is the O plus O. And after that, when the nascent oxygen combine with the oxygen molecule O2, it results in the formation of O3. Here, children, there is an equilibrium will be established, that is when O3, O2 combine, it gives the O3 along with the liberation of energy. The mixture thus obtained contain 5 to 10% ozone by volume, and the mixture is called as ozonoid oxygen. The apparatus which is basically used in the laboratory for the preparation of ozone is named as ozonizer. Children, these are the some important properties of ozone. You can see the slide, children. The ozone, the first is the physical properties. The ozone, it is a pale blue gas. It is exists in the gas as well as in the liquid as well as in the solid form. But they have different colors in the different physical states. So in the gaseous form, it is a pale blue gas. In the liquid form, it is a dark blue liquid. And in the solid, it is a violet black solid having a strong characteristic smell. The ozone is diamagnetic in the nature. Children, the ozone is thermodynamically less stable than the oxygen because its decomposition into oxygen results in the liberation of heat, and when the ozone molecule is dissociated into oxygen, it results in the increase in the entropy. Entropy means the degree of disorder, because when the ozone is dissociated, it gives one molecule of oxygen and one nascent oxygen. So there is a result in increase in the entropy overall. These two effects reinforce each other, that results in the large negative Gibbs energy change. As we know that, children, that is the formula of the Gibbs energy is delta G is equal to delta H minus T delta S. And when the value of delta G comes in the negative sign, the reaction is very, very spontaneous. And here the delta H is also negative, S also increases. So it results in a large negative Gibbs energy change for its conversion into oxygen. Hence, high concentration of ozone can be very, very dangerously explosive. Children, due to the ease with which it liberates atoms of nascent oxygen, it acts as a powerful oxidizing agent because the ozone rapidly dissociates into oxygen plus O, so it is acting as a good oxidizing agent. The ozone is very much poisonous in the nature and is used as a disinfectant. It causes headache and nausea when inhaled even in small amount. It oxidizes iodine, iodide ions to iodine, and lead sulfate to lead sulfate, lead sulfide to lead sulfate. So this is the, after that, children, there are some reactions that the iodide ion will combine with the ozone, and iodide ion is existing in the aqueous form. So it also have the water molecules. After that, it gives the iodine, I2, along with the liberation of hydroxide anion and oxygen gas. The lead sulfide PbS will combine with the ozone, it gives the lead sulfate along with the liberation of O3. Children, these are the structure of the ozone. This is the structure. So the ozone exists in two resonating structures. Another resonating structure we can draw like that, children. That is the O having bond with one center O and another this O. Here there is a double bond, and the double bond having two lone pair. Here only single lone pair, this is having the positive charge, and another oxygen having three lone pair of electrons. So children, we can draw the resonating structure of ozone, and in this resonating structure of the ozone, we can show that the Another two oxygen molecules may form double bond with the center oxygen. So children, in the ozone, the two oxygen bond length in the ozone molecules are identical, and the molecule is angular in the structure, having a bond angle equal to 117 degree. Okay children, and it is a resonating, these are the resonating structures of the ozone, and this is the resonance hybrid of the ozone molecule. Children, how next is where the ozone is used in our life. So first is, as we know that the ozone is a strong oxidizing agent, because the ozone rapidly dissociate into O2 plus nascent oxygen. So due to the liberation of that nascent oxygen, this ozone is acting as a strong oxidizing agent in the manufacturing of potassium permanganate. So in the manufacture of potassium permanganate, this ozone molecule is acting as a strong oxidizing agent. Next is, it is used in the germicides as a disinfectant and for the sterilizing water. Children, it is also used as a bleaching agent for oil, ivory, flour and starch. Next is the children, sulfur. Sulfur is the second element of the group 16. After the oxygen, the sulfur is present, and the sulfur having the atomic number 16. The sulfur having atomic number 16, and we can write the electronic configuration of the sulfur, that is 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2 and 3p4. This is the electronic configuration of sulfur, and as we know that the group 16 having the valence electronic configuration ns2np4. Here the value of n is equal to 3. So children, the sulfur exists in numerous allotropic form, and out of which the yellow rhombic sulfur. The first is the yellow rhombic sulfur, which is also named as the alpha sulfur. Alpha sulfur, and another second is monoclinic sulfur, and it is also named as the beta sulfur. This is beta sulfur. So out of numerous form, these two are very important form of allotropic form of the sulfur, and first is the yellow rhombic sulfur, which is also named as the alpha sulfur. Another is the monoclinic sulfur, which is also named as the beta sulfur. So the stable form of sulfur is the rhombic sulfur, children. The alpha form of the sulfur is very stable, and which transform into the monoclinic form when heated above 369 Kelvin temperature. So it means the rhombic sulfur can be converted into monoclinic sulfur when the temperature is above 369 Kelvin. We provide the temperature above 369 Kelvin, then the yellow rhombic sulfur is converted into monoclinic sulfur. So children, first we discuss about the yellow rhombic sulfur. So children, this allotrope of the sulfur is yellow in the color with S8 molecule, because I have already discussed in the initial topic of the chapter group 16, that is the oxygen is a diatomic gas, whereas the other elements are existing in the form of octaatomic solids. So the sulfur in the rhombic sulfur, it is yellow in the color with S8 molecules. The octaatomic sulfur is present. It is readily soluble in carbon disulfide. It is soluble in, this yellow form is soluble in carbon disulfide CS2. And if, how can we prepare the yellow rhombic sulfur? If the raw sulfur is dissolved in carbon disulfide and recrystallize, the crystals of alpha sulfurs are formed, and this having the specific gravity of the rhombic sulfur is 2.06. Okay children, next important property of the yellow rhombic sulfur is it having the melting point is 385.5 Kelvin. This is the melting point of yellow rhombic sulfur. It is insoluble in water but soluble in the organic solvents like benzene, alcohol, ether. Children, next is the monoclinic sulfur. Monoclinic sulfur is also named as the beta sulfur, and it is usually formed by melting the rhombic sulfur in a dish and cooling it till the crust is formed. After that, children, when we form the crust, the two holes are made in the crust and the remaining liquids are poured out. On removing the crust, a colorless needle-shaped crystal of beta sulfurs are formed. Again, I would like to explain this to the children. How can we prepare the beta sulfur from alpha sulfur? So usually the beta sulfurs are prepared from the alpha sulfur by melting the rhombic sulfur in a dish, and after melting, cooling till the crust is formed. When we get the crust, two holes are made in the crust so that the remaining liquid may be poured out. After removing the liquid, we remove the crust and colorless needle-shaped crystal of beta sulfurs are formed. Children, the beta sulfur, this is stable above 369 Kelvin temperature, and means the beta sulfur is stable above 369 Kelvin temperature, and it transforms into alpha sulfur below it. Means when we provide the temperature below 369 Kelvin, then the beta sulfur is converted into alpha sulfur, and alpha sulfur is converted into beta sulfur by heating the alpha sulfur at above 369 Kelvin temperature. It means at 369 Kelvin temperature, both the alpha and beta forms are stable, and this temperature is called transition temperature, because above and below this temperature the beta form and alpha form are transformed. This is named as the transition temperature, that is 369 Kelvin. Okay children, so this temperature is called transition temperature, and its melting point, means the melting point of beta sulfur is 393 Kelvin. This is the melting point of beta sulfur, and this beta sulfur is soluble in carbon disulfide, similar to the alpha sulfur. Children, after that, the important structure of the sulfur molecule, you can see the slide, that is the structure of sulfur molecule. Here you can see it is existing in the form of SH molecule, and in this the bond length of the SS is 204 picometer and the bond angle is 107 degree. Next slide is the allotropic form of sulfur. You can see the slide children, that is the allotropic form of sulfur. First is the structure of rhombic sulfur, another is the structure of monoclinic sulfur. In the rhombic sulfur, it is the most stable form of the sulfur, as it is already explained. That is out of these two, monoclinic and rhombic sulfur, the rhombic sulfur is the most stable form of sulfur, and it is obtained by slowly evaporating a solution of rose sulfur in carbon disulfide, and the rhombic sulfur is soluble in carbon disulfide. When octahedral crystals of rhombic sulfurs are formed, this is the lemon yellow in color. Then from the rhombic sulfur we can prepare the monoclinic sulfur, that is the beta sulfur. If the crystal of rhombic sulfurs are slowly heated to 369 Kelvin, they slowly changes into needle-like variety called monoclinic sulfur. This form is stable above 369 Kelvin and it has dull yellow color. It is insoluble in water. The next slide is the children, that is the conversion of rhombic sulfur to monoclinic sulfur. That is the rhombic sulfur is converted into monoclinic sulfur above 96 degrees Celsius, that is 369 Kelvin, and below 369 Kelvin temperature, the monoclinic sulfur is converted into rhombic sulfur. Okay children, next we move to the children, that is there are some important compounds of the sulfur, and the first important compound of the sulfur is the sulfur dioxide. So first we discuss about the preparation of sulfur dioxide. How can we prepare the sulfur dioxide children? So as from the molecular formula we know that in the sulfur dioxide the sulfur combined with one oxygen molecule. Okay, so we can easily prepare the sulfur dioxide by burning of sulfur in oxygen. So when the sulfur is burned in the presence of air or in the presence of oxygen, the sulfur is converted into sulfur dioxide. It means when the sulfur undergoes the oxidation process, it means when it burned in the presence of air, it gives the sulfur dioxide. In the laboratory, it is prepared as a byproduct by treating a sulfide with dilute sulfuric acid. Means the SO3 2 minus sulfide, when treated with the sulfuric acid, that is the sulfuric acid liberate the H plus ion. Then after the reaction, it gives the water molecule along with the escapable sulfur dioxide gas. So in the laboratory, we can prepare the sulfur dioxide by treating any sulfide compound with acid. Acid liberate the H plus ion. Second is industrially on the large scale. The sulfur dioxide is prepared as a byproduct of roasting of sulfide ores. Sulfide ores, for example, FeS2 means when the sulfide ores are roasted. Roasting means the heating in the presence of oxygen. When it is heated in the presence of oxygen, it gives the compound that is Fe2O3 along with the liberation of sulfur dioxide. So children, the sulfur dioxide can be again converted into the sulfur trioxide when it combined with the oxygen. So when it combined with the oxygen, again it gives the sulfur trioxide. So when we can easily prepare the sulfur dioxide in the laboratory by treating the sulfide with the acid. So when the sulfide is treated with acid, it gives the sulfur dioxide. Again, when the sulfide, this is the sulfide, this is the sulfide, iron sulfide. When it is treated with oxygen, means when it is undergoing the roasting process. Roasting means heating in the presence of oxygen. So it gives the iron oxide along with the sulfur dioxide. Next up, there are some important properties of sulfur dioxide. Children, you can see the slide. That is, these are the important properties of sulfur dioxide. So first is the physical properties. It is a colorless gas with pungent smell of burning sulfur. Okay, because it is produced by burning of the sulfur. It is produced by the combination of sulfur with oxygen. So it is a colorless gas with some characteristic smell, pungent smell, having the sensation of burning of sulfur molecules. It is highly soluble in water and it forms a solution of sulfurous acid when passed through water. You can see the reaction, children. When the sulfur dioxide passes through water, means when it is dissolved in water, it forms the sulfurous acid H2SO3. It means this reaction indicates that the sulfur dioxide is highly soluble in water. Next reaction is the sulfur dioxide reacts with sodium hydroxide solution to form the sodium sulfide, which on reaction with more SO2 form the sodium hydrogen sulfide. After the reaction is that is the when sulfur dioxide is reacted with sodium hydroxide, it gives sodium sulfide, and again when the sodium sulfide is treated with sulfur dioxide, it gives the sodium hydrogen sulfide. SO2 reacts with chlorine to produce the sulfuric chloride, that is the SO2Cl2, in the presence of a catalyst, that is a charcoal. It further oxidizes to SO3 by oxygen in the presence of catalyst, that is the vanadium pentaoxide. That is the SO2 can be easily converted into SO3 sulfur trioxide by oxidation reaction in the presence of catalyst, that is the vanadium pentaoxide. Next is the children, the moist SO2, that is the SO2 in the presence of some moisture water contained is acting as a reducing agent. Example is, it acts as a reducing agent because it easily converts the Fe plus 2 to Fe plus 3 to Fe plus 2 by releasing its electron to Fe plus 3, it rapidly converted to Fe plus 3. So, Fe plus 3 to Fe plus 2. So, the reaction, it also decolorizes the acidified potassium permanganate solution, and it is the confirmatory test for the presence of sulfur dioxide. So, children, next is the structure of sulfur dioxide. So, the sulfur dioxide is the resonating structure of, that is the S having bond with the 2 oxygen, 1, 2 having the double bond, and this having 3 lone pair, and this have only 1 lone pair. Okay, here it has the positive charge, this having the negative charge. The resonating structure of another resonating structure is, here the double bond is shifted here, O, having 3 lone pair, this oxygen having 3 lone pair, this having only 2 lone pair, and here only the sulfur has 1 single lone pair. Sulfur having the positive charge and here this oxygen having the negative charge. So we can easily draw the resonance hybrid of these two structures, that in this the sulfur can form a complete single bond with these two oxygen, and the double bond may be shifted here as well as may be shifted there. Okay, so these are the resonating structures of the sulfur dioxide. So children, next is where we use the sulfur dioxide. So this is the slide of the use of the sulfur dioxide. You can see on the screen, that is, it is used in refining petroleum and sugar, as an anti-chlor, disinfectant and preservative, in bleaching wool and silk, in liquid form as a solvent, and the sulfur dioxide is used in the preparation of industrial chemicals like sulfuric acid, sodium hydrogen sulfide, calcium hydrogen sulfide. So children, these are about the sulfur dioxide. Next is the oxo acids of sulfur. What are the important oxo acids of sulfur? So children, what are the oxo acids? So oxo acids are the acids that contain oxygen. So sulfur is known to form many oxo acids such as H2SO4, it forms H2SO4, sulfuric acid, H2SO3. Many oxo acids of the sulfurs are formed. In the oxo acids of sulfur, sulfur exhibits a tetrahedral structure when coordinated with oxygen. Generally, the oxo acids of the sulfur contain at least one. The oxo acid of sulfur consists of at least one S double bond O bond and at least one SOH bond. These bonds must present in the oxo acids of the sulfur. So oxo acids means any sulfur from the oxo acid means when the sulfur combined with the oxygen. Any oxo acid contain the oxygen. So the some popular oxo acids of sulfur, children, you can see on the screen, that is, this is a structure of the oxo acids of the sulfur. In your syllabus there are 4 important oxo acids. First is the sulfurous acid, children. You can see that is the sulfurous acid contain 1 lone pair of electron above the sulfur, 1 S double bond O and 2 OH. It means it is a dibasic acid. Okay children. Next is the sulfuric acid, H2SO4. Here 2 S double bond O is present and 2 OH bond. Next is the peroxo disulfuric acid having the formula H2S2O8, in which there is a OO linkage is also present in the structure of the oxo acid. Another is the pyosulfuric acid, which is very important, children. It is named as the oleum. In the industrial scale, the sulfuric acid is basically stored in the form of oleum having the formula H2S2O7. Here, the 2 sulfurs are linked through a bridge of oxygen. Children, there is a common between all the oxo acids of sulfur, that all the oxo acids of the sulfur have a tetrahedral geometry and it consists of at least one S double bond O and at least one S having bond with the OH. So children, these are about the oxo acids of the sulfur. Thank you children. That's all for today. In the next class, we will continue the important oxo acids of sulfur, that is the sulfuric acid and group 16 elements. Thank you.